Ready to go? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and convene Board of Control meeting. First order of business is to pledge allegiance with no prompt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sign the
I need technique. Yeah. Works in town. Yeah.
Good job. Item number 7, the reflection is Claudette Harold.
Just wanted to say that this is starting my 3rd year on the board, and it's been nice to walk into monthly board meetings and not have to do the reflection. It takes that pressure off. I'm not gonna lie to you. And so when Sarah reached out this week, I thought, oh, I don't know, so I'm gonna be uncomfortable and share with you. And one of the things that I've taken away over the last 2 years of listening to your reflections is that you all have such powerful testimonies about how a coach changed your life, how somebody made a difference when you were a high school athlete that really just put you on a different career path, and how much they mentored you. And so, when I reflect back to what did high school athletics mean to me, I was a track runner. Was I a good one? Absolutely not. If you probably would have looked back to my high school days, I think I probably ran track to be social. And if I was running the mile, I probably jogged it for 3 laps, talking to somebody beside me, and could have set their pace, and then they just took off in lap 4. So athletics for me was something to pass my time. And I look back and think about opportunities I missed from that. But truthfully, when I think about athletics really changed my life when I entered leadership 16 years ago. And when I think about being a high school principal and taking on that head job at age 30, I quickly knew that I wanted my hands in athletics. I took that duty away from our assistant principal, that was the chain of command beyond the athletic director. And I developed a relationship where the athletic director and I talked athletics every morning at 7 o'clock. I knew that if there was an issue in athletics and the athletic director couldn't solve it, that it was going to land on my plate as principal anyway. And so I very much had a connection of the more that I stayed in tune with athletics, the easier things would be. In that, I quickly realized that athletics can change someone's life, especially those of students. And so I knew as head principal that athletes were going to be treated different by me, and they were going to be held to higher standards. And so when athletes would come into my office for various reasons, I would quickly identify that I knew what sport they played, and that their peers knew what sport they played, their teachers, other administrators, but most importantly, the community. And so it wasn't fair. It just was that I put them on a higher standard. And it wasn't fair that they're never a non-athlete in that situation. So they're on duty 24 hours a day, and they represented my school, and they wore a jersey with my school name on it and logo. And so I very much held them to a higher standard. In that process, I've always been very clear in my mind to say that sports can be life-changing. And when I think about your all's reflections, I always walk away and I'm like, they had such a positive experience. But sports, in some cases, can be a negative impact on students. And so I'll talk about that in a few minutes. There were always times that I felt like with coaches that if coaches didn't perform the same level of sportsmanship, then I would take that into my own hands as principal, and I would make sure that that student athlete was going to follow sportsmanship in their area. Probably the most important view that I've gained about athletics, though, is through the lens of being a parent and an educator at the same time. And those of us that serve in that educator role on a daily basis, there's always a perception that educators' children get treated better than others. And what I would say to that in raising two boys is that it's quite opposite. There's a lot of times that educators' kids get treated harder because there's an expectation that they should know how to behave or they should know what to do. And so things that hit a educator's plate that's a parent sometimes wouldn't hit a regular parent plate. It's not an issue to even warrant a phone call. And so, I always look back and I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I find that a lot of times I apologize to them for the job I'm in because it is hard on both of them. When I stated that it can be life-changing, positive or negative, I do mean that. Not all students have a positive story to tell about their athletic experience. I remind coaches that the words they say and the actions they demonstrate can make or break a student athlete. It can create passion or turn a student away from a sport. And the coach can make the athlete work really hard or want to give up and quit, all because of the power that they have as a coach. Also feel like some districts are really blessed with consistency in coaching staff, financial resources, and more student names on a roster than they would ever need or be able to play. That's definitely not been the case when I think about the parent perspective of an athlete. That's not been a case for my oldest son, Lincoln. He currently runs cross country and track. In 4 years, he's had 4 coaches. He's never had a consistent team. And so when I think about athletics and some of the opportunities he's missed because it looks different or been challenging, it's created some characteristic traits. With that lack of consistency, we've noticed over the last 4 years that he's become isolated in the sport that he loves at his school. Athletes, and if you've been in the education background coming through COVID, you know that mental health is real. And it's not just on regular students in school, it's also on student athletes. And so being a runner, coming through COVID, working through isolation, I also say that sports psychologists are real in today's time. And man, they are a blessing to athletes. Lincoln runs 30 to 50 miles a week during season, and isolation also means that his mental toughness is tested. Not all schools see the value of all sports, which means accomplishments, achievements, and records broken don't get the same recognition or recognition at all. Talk about creating mental toughness and grit. What does this mean for athletes in similar situations as my son? As educators, as board members, we have to equip them with the strategies and tools needed to be successful. As parents and educators, it is important to advocate for our children and be their biggest cheerleader. Just this week, when we think about our roles as athletic supporters, just this week, I had to sit down and have a meeting in district to say, we can't forget things. Athletics is important to all students, and it creates so many positive opportunities. Just something to kind of brag on my son, Lincoln. He won middle school state in 8th grade. He had not beaten those runners again until this last weekend, and he became number 1 in the state. And so being a parent, being an athletic supporter and watching accomplishments, it creates a lot of great things for student athletes. Even though we're coming to the end of Lincoln's high school story in athletics, athletics didn't break Lincoln. Athletics created a human being who can now overcome, persevere, accept defeat, celebrate wins, become a good teammate. And we always say that runners are good to each other no matter what school they run for. And one who has learned to communicate his fears and challenges. He's learned to set goals and reflect daily. And I can say that I'm not a proud parent, but I'm a person that is honored to be his mom and his biggest cheerleader. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudette. I hope you don't mind me sharing. You shared some news with us last night that your boy ended up getting scholarship UK, right?
He is committed to UK.
So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing. Moving on to item number 8, work session items. 8.2 items for information of the board. We're going to wrap up 8.2.1 operation reports. All those reports will go all the way down to 8.2.1.12 approval of operation reports. And that recommendation is to accept the reports and direct the necessary action. Do I have a motion to accept that report? Randy, first, second. Michael? Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Any objections? Seeing none. Motion passes. 8.2.2 reports on association membership meetings. We'll wrap all those into one report. Go down to 8.2.2.8, approval of reports on membership meetings. I need accept the reports and direct necessary follow-up action. Do I have a motion to accept the reports? Greg, one, Mandy, second. Any objection or any discussion? First. All in favor, raise your right hand. Anyone not in favor? Seeing none, motion passes. Moving on to 8.2.3, general reports. We'll wrap all those up into 8.2.3.2, the approval of general reports. I need a motion to accept the reports and direct any necessary action staff. Gavin. First, Noel, second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Any not in favor? Seeing none, motion passes. 8.3, items for review for action at a later meeting. We'll wrap all those reports into, is it 8.3.26?
Yeah, it'll become 8.3.2.6.
So,
7, I'm sorry.
same, sorry, 7.
It would be 7, so yeah.
8.3.27, need a motion to accept all those reports. Jimmy, the second. Annie. We got a second. Russell. Yeah, Russell second. Any discussion? All in favor to accept the reports, raise your right hand. Anybody not in favor? Seeing none, motion passes.
Yeah, these are just information.
8.3.3.5, the discussion of coaching golf carts for future state and final options. Or what some of the options. The recommendation is to accept the report if desired and gathered identified information for the formal process at the next Board of Control meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation?
Damon
Damon,
and Michael.
Michael, second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Not in favor? Seeing none, motion passes. 8.3.3.6, discussion of track and field options, alignment options. I need a motion to accept the recommendation, to accept the report and direct gathering of enrollment data for consideration when full 4 years or post-pandemic audit enrollment data is available. Greg, first, Mandy, second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Not in favor? Seeing none, motion passes. 8.4, items for discussion and possible action. We'll wrap all the 8.4.1, consider approval of the annual meeting proposals that passed. Need a recommendation, approve the proposals to be submitted through the regulatory process. So those two proposals, correct? We're voting on to see if this
Yes,
passes.
sir.
I get a motion. Claudette, second, Damon. Any discussion? Seeing none, raise your right hand to approve. Anybody disapprove? Objections? Seeing none, motion passes. 8.4.2, finance and business. Need a motion to accept the report and authorize operations through additional reporting in November. Need a motion? Gavin, second. Go ahead, Brian. Second.
Before you take your vote.
Yep.
One item I did not mention earlier, you will probably see an expenditure at some point this year of approximately $15,000. It's, we've been planning for several years. The board actually approved it 2 years ago, I guess it was, where we got a quote from Instant Signs. They're gonna cover we have agreed to help fund a cover for the corner sections of Rupp for use during our girls tournament. We'll make the thing feel a little smaller. The proposal back then was $30-some thousand and we were gonna pay half of it. The proposal now is 40-something, but they just want us to just pay the 15 we were gonna pay before. But it's certainly a sellable piece for Hacker and TPG. But it will hopefully make it continue to feel smaller. We visited this week at Ohio State and, you know, they displayed to us the reason they don't play their state finals at the Horseshoe is just how big it looks. At the shoes, the bigger look, crazy. So we're trying to make Rupp look a little more intimate while recognizing it's where the girls want to play. But just information.
Everything accepted there?
We've got a motion in a second.
Let's take a vote. Anybody, all in favor, of accepting those reports? Anyone against? Seeing none, motion passes. 8.4.2.2, approve the finance and business reports. I need a motion to accept the financial reports and approve necessary action for additional reporting.
Yeah, I think that's one we discussed.
We doubled up on that?
We doubled up.
Yeah, that was well said.
Should just go to the next one. And your motion on this screen.
8.4.3, bass fishing state discussion. The motion is to, following the presentation, that the 2025 and 2027 State Bass Fishing Championship will be held at Lake Cumberland, and the 2026 and the 2028 State Bass Fishing Championship be held at Kentucky Lake. Motion. No, second, Greg. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Anybody not in favor? Seeing none, motion passes. Next agenda item number 9, for the good of the order. I think instead of going around, we'll just, if somebody wants to say something, please feel free. Or you got.
I just want to ask you all, if you get 5 seconds, talk with Roy for a little bit. I think you see there was a lot of stuff that we didn't finish up till this summer. New conference room, little conference room up front, all the work in here. As a matter of fact, some of this was just done yesterday. To take those old TVs that were hanging and banging everybody's head off. And I think sometimes we forget, all of us are kind of get all the attention, but you get a chance to thank him and the way he keeps the building. He's pretty proud of it. That's awesome.
As we mentioned, that at conference rooms looks great. That's a good addition. So. The cat got a place to go now, or?
The cat still has a 25,000 square foot house. He kept open the museum. And Gizmo's getting sheared again next week, so we'll need your sympathy.
Okay, so before we leave, just again, want to thank the staff. Awesome job. I know you guys got some state championships coming up. It sounds like you guys hit a heck of the last 2 months dealing with issues, but again, appreciate everything you guys are doing.
So we're going to pass around a memento while you're finishing up.
The student leadership kids, the giveaway for our hike conference with their songs. So all our kids.
And they will fit regardless of your shoe size.
There are a couple XL for those that need them, but most of them are large.
So
This will be. Yeah, where these.
I was waiting around this time, like you should pass them out first thing this morning. Yeah. No doubt to that.
Is everybody in agreement with the pullovers for meetings? I think it's worked out well. Everybody?
The other one we told Matt and Greg, the other one probably requires a little hanging and de-wrinkling. More so than these. Yeah.
You need that.
So this will be the dress going forward until we hear otherwise.
What are you talking about?
Anything else for the good of the cause?
You're right.
And so I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Greg,
Don't be in Randy's way.
any objections?
On the bag.
Seeing none, all in favor? No objections? Meeting's adjourned.